All right, so today we're diving into a really foundational Catholic doctrine, and it's one that's as fascinating as it is, well, often misunderstood. We're talking about the beliefs surrounding how Mary gave birth to Jesus. It's a concept that definitely challenges our normal understanding of the world, so let's get into it.
And right away, this is the big question, isn't it? This is the puzzle at the heart of our explainer. I mean, it goes against everything we know about biology. It points to what theologians call a divine mystery. So, what's the theological explanation for something like this?
Okay, so before we can really understand the birth itself, we've got to zoom out just a little bit. See, this single event is actually part of a much bigger doctrine, and it's known as Mary's perpetual virginity. So, this whole idea is really made up of three distinct parts: that Mary was a virgin before, during, and after Jesus' birth. Now, for our purposes today, we are laser focused on that incredible middle part, her virginity during the act of giving birth. There's even a fancy Latin name for it, virginitas in part. And you should know, this is not some new idea. I mean, look at this quote from St. Augustine, one of the heaviest hitters in early Christian thought. It shows that this belief has incredibly deep roots. He's framing it as this continuous, unbroken state of being. So how on earth is a miraculous birth like this explained? Well, the theological answer is tied directly to another core doctrine, the whole concept of original sin, and the belief that Mary uniquely was exempt from it. This slide really lays out the core logic here. On the left, you've got the consequence of original sin, straight from the book of Genesis. That pain in childbirth is a penalty for that sin. But on the right, you have Mary's unique exception. The whole argument is that because she was free from original sin, she was also free from its penalties. And this right here, this is the key that unlocks the whole thing, the Immaculate Conception. Now, it's super important to remember this doesn't refer to Jesus' conception. It refers to Mary's. It's the belief that she was preserved from original sin from the very first moment of her existence. And that, in this theological framework, sets her completely apart from the rest of humanity. So it all boils down to this, really. It's a direct link. No original sin means no penalty of a painful birth. That connection is the entire theological foundation for why Mary's experience of childbirth is described not just as miraculous, but as completely painless. All right, now we get to the heart of it all. We've kind of established the theological why. So let's explore the what. I mean, how is this miraculous birth actually described? You know, the church has that specific term for it we mentioned, virginatus in partu. It literally means virginity during birth. And it's this assertion that the physical event itself was supernatural and that it left Mary's physical integrity, her body, completely intact. So how do you even wrap your head around that? Well, for centuries, the go-to analogy has been this beautiful image, a ray of light passing through a pane of glass. It's not a scientific explanation, obviously, but it's a powerful picture. The idea is that Jesus passed through his mother's womb, illuminating it, but leaving it totally whole and unchanged. So to just quickly recap, the descriptions consistently hit these key points. 1, the birth was painless. That's the direct result of her being free from original sin. 2, her physical body wasn't damaged or altered in any way. And 3, Jesus' exit is described as something beyond our physical laws. One source even says he passed through her body after the manner of spirits. Just wild to think about. Okay, so we've covered the what and the how, but theologians, they always ask another question. Was this miraculous birth fitting? In other words, did it actually align with the nature of God and the sheer significance of this event? The great theologian St. Thomas Aquinas actually laid out 4 big reasons why he believed a miraculous birth was the only way that was truly appropriate. And you can see each reason links the physical event to some deeper spiritual truth, from honoring God the Father to reflecting the purity of Jesus himself, all the way to symbolizing the spiritual rebirth for all believers. And you know, this doctrine didn't just appear out of nowhere. You can actually see it developing and getting affirmed over centuries. Way back in 431, the Council of Ephesus called Mary the God-bearer, a title they connected to her physical integrity. Then in 649, a council formally defined her virginity during birth. And then much later, in 1854, you get the final piece of the puzzle, the doctrine of the Immaculate Conception, which provides that theological foundation we've been talking about. So as we start to wrap this up, it's really important to frame this correctly, to remember what this doctrine is at its core. It's not trying to be a biological treatise, it's a theological statement about the nature of divine power. This quote from the Catholic Encyclopedia just nails it, I think. The power of the Most High passed through the barriers of nature without injuring them. It perfectly captures this core idea that divine power can work beyond the normal rules of the physical world without any force or damage. So when you strip it all away, that's the bottom line here. The doctrine of the miraculous birth is less about a step-by-step physical account and much, much more about making a profound statement. A statement about God's power to completely transcend the limits of our created world. And that really leaves us with this huge, fascinating question to chew on. Beyond just this specific doctrine, what does it even mean to conceive of a power that can operate outside the laws of nature as we know them? It's a question that sits right at the intersection of faith, of mystery, and of our entire understanding of reality itself.